When Miss Adeline Clark first stepped into room 3B of Clearwater High School, she felt an optimism so bright it could light up even the darkest corner of her past. She had chosen teaching not because it was easy, but because she believed that the right words, the right patience, and the right heart could save even the most lost soul. But no one warned her that sometimes those lost souls walked in packs. Sometimes they waited for a moment of weakness, and sometimes they enjoyed watching the light inside someone flicker. That Friday morning began the way it always did. The shrill ring of the first bell, the scuffle of sneakers, the bored stares from the back row. But when three boys, Cole and Jesse, strode in, she felt the air shift. Tanner, the ringleader, with his perpetual smirk and carefully tousled blonde hair, made eye contact with her like a wolf testing a fence. Morning, Miss Clark, Tanner drawled. He tilted his chin as if daring her to respond. Morning, Tanner, she said calmly. Take your seat. He didn't. Instead, he turned to Cole and Jesse. You know, I heard she was crying in her car again. A ripple of laughter broke, but behind them, Miss Clark's pulse hammered in her ears. She wasn't proud of it. She had been crying. She'd spent the last 4 nights alone in the parking lot, wondering if she was even making a dent in these kids' lives, wondering why she still believed. Tanner walked slowly to her desk, his eyes glittering with something dark. Tell me something, Miss Clark. What's it feel like knowing nobody respects you? She swallowed. Sit down. But instead of obeying, he reached out, placed a single index finger on the attendant's clipboard, and flicked it to the floor. A hush fell. And she knew today was the day they would test how far she could bend before she broke. The trouble had been brewing for months. Tanner's father, a wealthy property developer, had donated thousands to the school, which bought the administration's silence. The other teachers whispered about him behind closed doors. Don't engage, it only makes it worse. Just send him to the office. But the office never did anything. Tanner knew it. Everyone knew it. Still, she tried. Day after day, she handed him assignments, called home, arranged meetings. She tried to see the child behind the cruelty, to understand what made a boy so determined to destroy the spirit of another person. Then came the incident in the courtyard. It was lunchtime. The sky hung over Clearwater High like a lead weight. She had been walking to the staff room, clutching a stack of ungraded essays, when Tanner stepped into her path. His friends flanked him, their eyes bright with anticipation. Miss Clark, Tanner called out loudly, so half the courtyard turned to watch. You look tense. Why don't you kneel down and beg us to behave? Her heart thudded. Excuse me, you heard me. Maybe if you get on your knees and apologize for being such a pathetic teacher, we'll stop messing with you. A knot formed in her stomach. Around them, students pulled out their phones, eager to film the spectacle. She took a breath, willing her voice not to shake. Move aside. Jesse sneered. We're not going anywhere. Someone in the crowd murmured. She won't do it. But Tanner stepped closer, lowering his voice. You will, because if you don't, I swear I'll make sure everyone here believes you're a predator. I'll say you touched me. Who do you think they'll believe me? Or the sad woman who cries in her car? The world tilted. A cold sweat broke out. On her neck she looked around. Some kids looked shocked, but no one stepped in. No teacher, no administrator, only teenagers, hungry for the next viral video. Tanner smiled. Go on, Neil. It was the longest moment of her life. She thought of her mother, who'd raised her alone and taught her never to let anyone see her surrender. She thought of the bright-eyed boy she'd once taught, who wrote her a letter saying she'd saved him from dropping out. She thought of every quiet morning she'd stood in front of a whiteboard, believing her life meant something. And then, slowly, because the weight of humiliation was a tide she couldn't hold back, she sank to her knees. A collective gasp swept the courtyard. There, Tanner said triumphantly. Told you she'd break. Her vision blurred with tears. She heard the click of phone cameras. She felt the warm, hateful satisfaction in his voice as he turned to the crowd. Everyone look at her. Look at this pathetic woman. Her hands clenched into fists against the pavement. Then, in the deepest part of her mind, something shifted. A voice, quiet but unbreakable, whispered, You're stronger than this. She lifted her gaze to Tanner, and in that moment, she realized she wasn't crying anymore. By the time the principal arrived, the videos were already online. Miss Clark stood up without a word. Tanner tried to cover his smirk with a look of false innocence. Miss Clark, what is going on here? Principal Gordon demanded. She assaulted us, Tanner declared smoothly. We were just enough, she said. Her voice was calm, too calm. She looked Tanner dead in the eye. If you ever threaten me again, I will press charges for harassment, defamation, and coercion. And you'll see exactly how much money your father has to spend to keep you out of juvenile court. For the first time, Tanner looked uncertain. Principal Gordon tried to interrupt. Let's all go inside. No, Miss Clark said. She turned to the students still filming. You all have choices. Today you chose to be bystanders. I won't forget it, and you shouldn't either. Asterisk, and with that she walked away. Her knees ached, her hands trembled, but she felt something she hadn't felt in months, clarity that evening. She sat at her kitchen table, staring at the comments pouring in. The video had gone viral, nearly 500,000 views in a few hours. Asterisk, she's pathetic. Asterisk, why be a teacher if you can't handle kids? Asterisk, she deserves it for being weak. But there were other comments too. This broke my heart. Asterisk, I had a teacher who saved my life. I'm so sorry this happened. Asterisk, don't let them win. One message stood out. Miss Clark, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Daniel. You taught me English in 9th grade. You told me I mattered when no one else did. I saw what they did to you. Please don't give up. You're the reason I graduated. She read that message over and over until the words blurred, and in that moment, something hardened inside her. Asterisk, she wasn't done. Monday morning she walked into the building with her head high. News crews camped outside the gates. Parents protested in the parking lot. Students whispered behind cupped hands. She ignored them all. Her classroom was empty. When she arrived, she set down her bag, took out her phone and pressed record. Asterisk, my name is Adeline Clark, she began, her voice steady. I am a teacher. I have spent 12 years of my life trying to help young people see their own worth. Last week, I was forced to kneel before a group of students who believed cruelty made them powerful. But today, I'm standing, and I will keep standing. She posted the video. By the time the first bell rang, it had already been shared thousands of times. She expected the school board to fire her, but instead, her inbox flooded with letters of support from teachers, parents, and former students. A petition demanding Tana's expulsion reached 20,000 signatures in 2 days. Asterisk, Tana's father tried to do damage control, issuing a statement blaming a moment of teenage poor judgment, but the damage was done. Asterisk, the superintendent called her personally. Asterisk, we're reviewing the incident, he said carefully, but we support you. You showed remarkable restraint. Asterisk, that word restraint made her laugh out loud after she hung up. Restraint was one word for it. Survival was another. The hearing was held in the auditorium, packed with parents and reporters. Tana and his friends sat sullenly in the front row. Miss Clark stood alone behind the podium. Asterisk, when it was her turn to speak, she didn't read from notes. She didn't need to. Asterisk, I've spent my career trying to teach young people that respect matters, that dignity matters, that we are defined not by our worst impulses but by how we rise above them. She looked straight at Tana. Last week you forced me to kneel in public. You tried to take away my humanity, but you didn't. You only revealed your own. Asterisk, the crowd was silent. She took a slow breath. Asterisk, you will not break me, she said, no matter how many times you try. Asterisk, the superintendent nodded gravely. Thank you, Miss Clark. A week later, Tana and his friends were expelled. Asterisk, her return to school felt surreal. Some students averted their eyes. Others whispered apologies. A few left notes on her desk. I'm sorry, you didn't deserve that. Thank you for staying. Asterisk, she never forgot the faces that had watched her kneel. She never forgot how it felt to be utterly humiliated, but she also never forgot how it felt to stand back up, and wordlessly she began again. One lesson, one student, one day at a time. Asterisk, because teaching, she realized, wasn't about never falling. It was about rising over and over no matter who tried to keep you down. It was late spring when Daniel came to visit. He'd driven 3 hours from college, holding a single daisy in his hand. Asterisk, you really saved me, he told her quietly. When I saw the video, I knew I had to come. Asterisk, her throat tightened. Thank you, she whispered. Asterisk, he glanced around her classroom. The walls still lined with posters. Believe in yourself, be kind, stand tall. Asterisk, you know, he said, smiling, you're kind of a badass. Asterisk, she laughed, fairly laughed for the first time in months. Asterisk, when he left, she stood by the window, watching him walk to his car. The sun was setting, painting the world in gold.